You mentioned Bach's pain that he went through in his life, and you've had your fair share, uh, but you don't think that all great art comes from pain, do you?
No, the opposite. No, I don't know anyone who hasn't gone through, I mean, monumental levels of pain. That's the human condition, isn't it? It's impossible to live life without experiencing trauma to some extent or another. These guys, these are like fucking heroic musicians. They composed and created despite the pain, not because of it. They created despite the stuff going on in here, the depression, the anxiety, the awkward, total lack of social skills, the really bad hair, the syphilis, the alcoholism. They composed despite that, because it's the one thing that provides a kind of half a way out from that madness. It's either sit at the piano and just pour your soul out onto the manuscript page, or throw yourself out a window. I mean, I really believe that. And just, they happen to be known as having experienced trauma and being mentally quite unstable because they're so well known. But I guarantee you line up 1,000 people, whether they're working in Burger King or Waterstones, or if, they're a Hollywood A-lister, they're all going to have, enormous levels of trauma.
You mentioned classical music is it doesn't seem to be allowed to the masses sometimes, or we're not always taught that we can access classical music. But you're saying that seems kind of silly, and yet you kind of bring it back to the masses because you'll play with jeans on and tattoos and play your way, and you're signed by a rock label.
I try. I've set up my own label now because I just think I'm a massive control freak. I want things done the right way. I don't want to think about an album cover and know that that's going to take 6 months to get approved and signed off on it. I want it done now in the way that I feel is right. And a classical, just the industry itself, it's filled with such awful people. I mean, it's just rammed full with assholes. I mean, it's just, it breaks my heart. It's just, I think of it a bit like the way people feel about bankers when the whole subprime thing started happening. It's predicated on vast levels of greed and snobbery and narcissism. And why? If Mozart came and saw a concert today, he'd just fall over laughing at the way it's presented and the way it's treated. And the one thing that must never change is the music. Like, it's just immortal. It's perfect. Everything else around it, I think, is up for grabs. Why is there any other genre of music in the world, in history, where people have said, okay, you have to wear a certain outfit? I mean, would you call Matt Bellamy from Muse or Chris Martin from Coldplay and say, we'd love you to do a couple of nights at the O2, but you're gonna have to wear a white tie and tails because that's what we do. I mean, come on, why? Who decided that it has to be this sacred, stick up the ass kind of, God forbid you clap in the wrong place, or you cough, or you make any noise, or it's so weird. So I wear what I'm comfortable in, not to make a statement, just because, why not? And I introduce the pieces from the stage. I talk about the fact that, Beethoven he's so much more than just the deaf composer. This guy was almost beaten to death twice before he was a teenager by his drunken dad. This kid, he's 16. He takes his father to court to make sure his father's income goes direct to Beethoven, so that Beethoven, this teenager, is able to feed and clothe the family, because he knows his dad would just spend it on drinking. You can't imagine the shit these guys go through. And then he creates music that just, and he's deaf. I mean, come on, it's insane. So to talk about that stuff and to set up the pieces and then play them, to me, it shows, I hope, a certain amount of respect for the audience. Because most classical concerts now, I don't think they really think about the audience. It's the performer and the music, and that's it.
To watch the rest of this fascinating interview, click on the link below and go to londonreelacademy.com. There you can sign in with your social media, log in and watch the rest of the episode for free, along with all of our episodes on London Reel, my webinars, and all of our premium content, all located over at londonreelacademy.com. So click on the link below, you'll be directed there and you can watch the rest of this fascinating interview, and I'll see you there.